little article drops this morning in ESPN about the Russ in Seattle breakup. And I found this to be a hilarious piece of literature.
Yeah, you think this is a spin job again?
Yes,
100%,
definitely.
100%.
100%. I believe it's a spin job from the Seattle side, essentially trying to be like, oh, yeah, like it was just like, what could we have ever done? Russ was just so difficult to deal with. We couldn't keep him happy.
I don't even think that was their vibe.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Okay, so what vibe did you get from it?
I got both sides. I felt like both sides were I actually.
What side do you think how do you think Seattle came off in it?
I think Seattle came off exactly how the article portrayed it, in a way where
What does that
Seattle
mean?
they didn't give Russ what he wanted, and he didn't do exactly what Seattle wanted.
Exactly.
There were many things that Seattle could have done differently to keep Russ and to make him happy. So many things, and they chose not to do it. So to me, when I'm done reading that article, in fact, when I'm reading it, pretty much every point I go across, I'm saying, what is Seattle doing here? This is so stupid. He's a mega quarterback, an elite quarterback. You have to do things to suit him. So I came away from that saying, what idiots.
Okay, fair enough. I came away from it feeling like they're trying to paint this picture that stats were more important to Russ than winning games. And so I felt like it was like this Pete Carroll defense thing where it was like, yeah, Pete wanted to, give him a chance to go out and pad his stats early, but when push came to shove, like he had to do what was best for the team, and Russ didn't like that.
Well, okay, I'll say something to that super quick. Russ did mess up at times, and Pete was way too quick to pull the plug when he did, like a couple of seasons where Russ went out, was a front runner for the MVP, and then Russ went out in a game and threw a terrible interception.
Yep.
And every quarterback's going to have terrible interceptions. It's okay to say that Russ would have a terrible interception or a terrible game or a terrible streak of games. After the Seattle Seahawks started 5-0, I believe the next 4 games he had 10 turnovers in those games, and Pete said, nope, we're done with this.
Yep.
I don't think that's right. Maybe you pull the reins back, change it a little bit or something. You don't completely go away from what Russell Wilson does best. But, I mean, there were give and takes.
I think that our reactions or feelings coming away from this article just come away, like, just all comes down to perspective. The whole time I was reading it, I was just thinking, like, okay, like, this is, like, Seattle person after Seattle person after Seattle person. So what's the, like, thing that they're trying to communicate here? And to me, it was trying to build a narrative that was like I said, stats were more important to him than anything else, and that was like Pete Carroll wasn't there for it.
I don't. There's too many little things that are happening here to make like a big overarching takeaway like that. Is my thought.
Okay.
Like there was a section where they talk about those little pieces of it. Like the line afterward, according to a source who spoke with the quarterback, Wilson was livid at how Carroll had taken his foot off the gas, believing it cost him a chance to grab hold of the MVP race. So like that one, do you just say like, nope, that didn't happen? Like Russell Wilson was not mad about that? Like you don't trust the source?
So I trust that Russ would have been like, that's weak that we took our foot off the gas. I don't think it was like because I had a chance to take hold of the MVP race.
Okay, well, Russ did publicly on the Dan Patrick Show say that he wants to be in the best. He wants to be the best in the world, and quote, trying to break away and be with the guys like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Joe Montana. And then quote, I want to be the best in the world to ever do this. And MVPs and Pro Bowlers, those things do come in. And I don't blame Russ for wanting to go get an MVP vote for the first time. I think you're kind of crazy and a bit naive for thinking that he never wants the MVP, would never be frustrated.
In fact, just to clarify, I literally gave out Russ for MVP on bets today because I was like, if he wants MVP this bad, then when he came to the Broncos, he was like, I want to win an MVP. And Nathaniel Hackett was like, I got you. Let's go win one. I just led a guy to 2. So I fully believe that. I just think that they were like, again, that the article was trying to paint a picture that that's more important to him than winning, which I don't believe.
Okay, yeah, and I honestly didn't get that
Yeah.
feeling. But I would also agree with you that I don't think the MVP is more important than winning to him.
And
Totally.
to me, like, I think you can be all in on both.
Absolutely.
Like, if
Yes.
you have the best quarterback and the best player in the league, which is always going to be a quarterback, then you have the best chance at winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree with that. So what I want to do is go through and list a couple of things that I got from the article that maybe Seattle did wrong or that Seattle did right that the Broncos can take from in order to keep their relationship with Russell Wilson good so he can finish his career here.
Can I just read the part that's just laugh out loud funny? Schneider later apologized to the Saints and other teams who had called them, having told them they weren't trading Wilson. Denver was Wilson's only option, and Schneider's preferred choice because Drew Lock was the quarterback Schneider wanted in return.
Yep, and in
Yeah.
fact, that's what I thought you were going to think was funny.
Exactly.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, especially because of...
They don't even have him starting over Geno Smith.
Especially
Yeah.
because of how long they've been trying to find Russell Wilson's replacement. This is the plan they fall on. That's pretty bad.
That really,
See,
I
that-
actually laughed out loud.
And see, that's the thing where I think Seattle comes out of this looking like an idiot.
They do, for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's not what they wanted to happen.
no,
definitely
it certainly
not.
isn't.
The other thing with the MVP stuff, though, like the other line, what are we doing here? One source in the Seahawks front office remembers thinking at the time, are we trying to win games or are we trying to win MVP? Like, I totally believe that that's a thought that he had, but I don't believe that it's like a thought that he should have been having. Like, that's the other takeaway from all this, though, is that, like, these guys in the front office did feel like they were a little bit out of touch with the way that things work. Like, I think he was probably dumb to think that. I also think thinking it's time to move on from Russell Wilson's a dumb thought as well. There's a lot of that where you just read what the front office has to say and you just think, like, what? How do you have that job?
Yeah,
Drew Lock.
and I think that's true. I think you're right. Like, he did have that thought, and that's weird.
Exactly.
Like that, and that's the thing is, like, I think that even back then they were painting this picture in their mind of, like, all Russ cares about is stats, which, like, hey, this could be 2 in a row, right? It was Jim Irsay who said, we want to win championships, not put up Star Wars numbers.
Yeah.
And, like, Peyton was like, cool, I'll just go to Denver and put up Star Wars numbers and win championships.
Exactly.
And so hopefully this weird anti-stats thing benefits the Broncos for multiple Super Bowls.
That'd be huge. Okay, so let's take a look at these. The first one was money. Money was never an issue with Seattle. That's actually one thing that they did. When he needed to be paid, he got paid now. It was interesting because we knew Russ put a deadline on the Broncos giving him an extension this year. It was last week. They got the deal done 30 minutes before the deadline was set. He put a deadline on Seattle a couple of years ago to get a deal done, and the deal got done. So Russ is hardlined with these things, but Seattle never made it an issue, and clearly the Broncos are not going to make that an issue for 5 to 7 years.
And I think Russ's reasoning for it is, I don't want to be thinking about this during the season.
When he did it with Seattle, the deadline was in April, which was a little weird.
Right.
A little fascinating.
Maybe because he knew about what the shenanigans they were up to in the draft.
Potentially, which leads to the next one. Don't draft his replacement early, or keep him in the loop with it, or have really good reasoning for it. Because in this article, the Seahawks were not only in on Mahomes and would have taken him if he fell to them, but they were also at Josh Allen's pro day scouting him. And when Russell Wilson found out about it, a Seahawks front office source said they were effing pissed. And of course they were. Of course they were. And on top of that, they called the Browns for the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
What are the
to trade
Browns
for Russell
thinking?
Wilson. Yeah, how do they not take that trade?
Like,
Russell Wilson so you don't have to gamble with that first pick?
And
Like,
how
'cause that
many
was
years
Baker,
ago was
right?
that?
Yep.
Probably Baker.
So that's
It was 2018.
2018. So Russ was 30 at the time.
I think a year. Yeah, I think he was 29, maybe going on his 30th season.
You're passing up on a 29-year-old surefire franchise quarterback to draft a guy that you didn't even keep for his whole first contract.
Yeah. Terrible. I mean, that's just the Browns being the Browns right there.
How are the Browns so bad at this?
The Browns could have drafted Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield with that pick, guys that probably wouldn't be with their team anymore.
Yep.
What if they got Josh Allen? How
Yep.
brilliant would have Seattle actually looked? And then Josh Allen developed into the Josh Allen that he is now.
But that kind of he wouldn't have because he would have been in Cleveland. But that kind of goes into the thought.
No, Josh would have been in Seattle.
Oh, I see what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah.
Okay. That kind of goes into how dumb the Browns are.
Yep.
Because I guess one out of those guys actually panned out, and then Lamar at the very end of the round, who wouldn't have been probably in consideration for that pick.
That's true.
And that's why you say, let's take out the 1 in 4 spin and just take the surefire thing. God, the Browns are dumb.
I completely agree with that. And so we've seen this in other places, though, where a team drafts a quarterback because they think their quarterback is done, and that player gets super pissed. We talked about it for 2 years. Aaron Rodgers. The Broncos and George Payton in 5 to 7 to 10 years are eventually going to be looking for Russell Wilson's replacement. They just have to make sure they do it right. And I think, my guess, the best way of doing it right is keeping him involved. And I think that's what we're going to see a lot of these things come down to with Russ, is keeping him involved, making him part of your front office, and give him a say in what you're doing, because I think that's one thing that obviously the Seahawks didn't do. That's one thing the Packers certainly didn't do with Aaron Rodgers. They didn't let him know that they were drafting Jordan Love, and I think that's something that when the time comes, the Broncos are going to have to be smart about it, because what if George Payton doesn't let Russ know, drafts a replacement, is looking at replacements, and because George is thinking the Broncos have 1 to 2 years left with Russ, and Russ is like, I got 5 or 6 years left. F you guys, I want out.
Imagine if George Payton just decided he's going to go alternate every week between watching Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. Like, if you're Russell Wilson, you'd just be sitting there like, what the hell is this? What are you doing? And it's a little bit different now because there's the contract extension and all that sort of stuff, so you can't be too worried. But if you were at the end of that contract, if the Broncos didn't have this next contract on the way after the current one ends, you would understand why. So the fact that Russell's getting upset about all of this stuff, it's totally justified. It's totally justified to be angry about any of it.
Yeah. At the same time, you could do the opposite, which is what the Broncos did when Peyton Manning retired, which is expect that Brock was going to stay around, not do their homework on the quarterback. Brock leaves. You haven't done any homework, and then you end up with Paxton Lynch.
You're telling me we could get Trevor Siemian 2.0?
Okay.
Okay, baby. No, but you're absolutely right. So wouldn't the best thing to do to pretty much have him in a front office role? I mean, and as close to George Payton as anyone?
Yeah, and I think, depending on where Russ is at. So at the end of this current contract, how old is he going to be? 40?
Oh, yep.
So when he's 39 years old and you have to start maybe he's even 38, and you have to start looking like you just have to have open communication with him. And maybe, you hope that he's still playing at a high level, and maybe he just says like, hey, I'm down for another contract, and then you sign it and you go. If not, though, the less desirable one, you just have to be like, hey, we're going to have to replace you at the end of this. You're going to retire. Help us find your guy.
It's just so rare that players plan retirements. It feels like they get to an offseason and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to think it over. And it's like, no, I'm going to play again. The next offseason is like, oh, yeah, I'll think it over. I'll report back in a month. And that's what makes it so tough. Is if he just said, yeah, I'm retiring at the end of this contract, it's easy. It won't happen, though.
Well, and to add to that, Henry, then if you do have an inkling or you just think he's regressing enough to where you need to draft his replacement and you use a first-round pick on a quarterback, well, then then the flip side is, what are you doing using a first-round pick when you're in a window to win with Russ right now or with Peyton? I remember feeling that way about Peyton Manning when the Broncos drafted Brock in the second round. I'm going, you're not going to need this guy anytime soon. Why aren't you using this on a player that can help the team right now?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It's an interesting thing, and I think you're right, Zach. There is rules to abide by when you have a franchise quarterback.
And there's another big rule, which is probably more so for Nathaniel Hackett, and we'll jump into that after I tell you about us. The DNVR bar having a massive weekend this weekend. Friday night, the grand opening. Saturday, college football all day. Sunday, NFL all day. And then Monday night, you know where to be. It is here at the DNVR bar as we have the Broncos kickoff. It's going to be so cool, and there's no better place to be, not only because it's a bar, but it's a bar 2.0, and it's the opening weekend. So make sure to come by this weekend, and if you can, make it out for Monday.
Been earning my sweat equity down there.
Wow.
Painting walls,
Are you a good painter?
Yeah, I'm a pretty good painter. I'm really good at things that require attention to detail.
I'm not.
Good compared to the rest of the company, or just like straight up good?
I would say straight up good.
Hank's
I
trying
would
to hire
say-
you for a couple
I would say
walls he has.
Ryan and Megan were the best painters
Yeah.
downstairs. That doesn't discredit anyone else who helped paint. They did a great job.
I heard
But
Brendan was terrible.
no, he was good. He was
Really,
good.
the rumor going around is that Brendan was pretty rough.
I would give Megan the title. She was better than me, but no one else.
That's very humble
Oh,
of you.
okay.
Yep. But anyways, yeah, bar's gonna be sick.
It's going to be awesome.
Also, football's back tomorrow, and that's going to be sick because you can make a whole bunch of money. There's so many awesome promotions this week. DraftKings has just really upped everything for this first week. So for every game on Sunday, you can get... so basically, you make a bet on the money line. If the team that you bet on goes up by 10 points, your bet hits. And I did the math. That happened in it was 13% of the games last year. I think it was 16% of the games the year before. So quite often a team goes up by 10 points, then blows the game. So that is a really cool thing. But tomorrow night, they cut it to 7. So if either team goes up by 7, like you take the Bills to win, the Bills score a touchdown on the first drive, your bet hits right there.
Yep, it's pretty great.
I know. I'm still not sure which side I'm going to get on there, but
Bills.
I
Really?
think so. I think that's where it's at.
that's
Yeah.
secondary, though. It's just trash.
It
No,
is.
and Tre'Davious White's injured. I just learned that on our
Exactly.
last show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're taking the over for sure.
Yep.
The money
I
line
like
is tough.
that.
I like Bills over 27.5 too.
Sure, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I do. I like the overs, and on Thursday Night Football, got to be crushing some Breck brews to
yes.
get your weekend nearly started. And no better thing to drink than Broncos Country Breck Brew, especially on Monday night. You get a couple of those, you get some Elway bobbleheads, your basement, man cave, woman cave, is going to be set. So check them out. If you can stop by the bar, we have Breck Brews here. If not, go to breckbrew.com, find their beer locator, and you can find beer pretty much anywhere in the country. So check them out at breckbrew.com.
And download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code DNVR to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet this Sunday. That's code DNVR only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Make sure you tell Caitlin how that worked out so she doesn't hear the first part of that and then
She's going to be so confused. Reception.
Yo Mama Llama said I only hear what RK is good at. What is he bad at? I have been very open and honest about what I'm bad at.
And as Jose says, you're very bad at acknowledging the Chargers.
And he said, no, that's a strength, which I would agree. I'm bad at organization.
Oh.
Very bad. Always have been. Probably never won't be any better than I am right now.
Sometimes that's
Do you
best.
try working on it?
I would say I give an effort and then it just falls apart and then I get more discouraged about it.
You sound like Pete Carroll not letting Russ cook. Because he's given Russ a couple of chances to let him cook, and that's kind of the next main takeaway here. Ryan, I think we talked about your weaknesses enough.
Okay, fair enough. I thought Allie was like primed and ready to take some shots.
Well, Allie,
ready.
the mic is yours.
I can't think right now. I don't know.
There you go. You're perfect.
Yeah, all right. There we go.
Straighten out the driver a little.
Oh, yes. The driver, I wouldn't even say straighten it out a little. I need to straighten it out a lot.
He's bad at putting his shoes away.
That fits that category, though. That's
Yeah.
the
Organization.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Also, my shoes are art.
Wow.
No, they're not.
Anywhere they are, it looks good.
Wow, kind of like modern art. You can leave like one on the side.
Yeah.
One just kind of like somewhere else.
I want to just start doing that thing that people have been doing recently, which is like turning Nikes into like plant holders.
Oh.
I think that, and then you put them on like a little shelf. DIY, yes.
Aren't like pots like $5 or something though?
Yeah, but you could just use like an old Nike, and it looks cooler.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine
I
you'd
don't
use a
know.
new one.
No.
That'd be crazy.
It's so expensive. I don't know. I'm just gonna stick to pots.
It's recycling.
I could see
I
them.
think that's reusing actually.
Could be.
Reduce, reuse, recycle. That's
Yeah,
reuse.
yeah, yeah.
Yep, that's reuse.
Fair enough.
Well, Pete Carroll, it seemed like he reused the same game plan for Russell Wilson every single year, and especially for 2 years. Russ would get hot. He'd start off really well. Something would go wrong, kind of like that game we talked about earlier, or a stretch of games. And then Pete would say, no, I'm too uncomfortable. I got to go back in my hole of just running the ball, playing defense. Bring Russ back. And understandably so, that was something that really bothered Russell Wilson because let Russ cook became a thing. In fact, he trademarked it as a thing. And that's something that he wanted to embrace throughout his career. And they didn't do it. And we've talked about this numerous times. And I think that's why Nathaniel Hackett is not only going to let Russ cook, but he's going to let Russ call the plays in 2-minute situations. He's going to let him build the playbook. He's going to let him do so much. So at least right now, this is absolutely not a worry, but it's clearly something that if it goes astray, we know what it can turn into.
Do you think Russell Wilson leads the NFL in trademarks?
No, Tom Brady for sure.
That was the one that I had.
Yeah,
It's gotta
he
be
has
1 and 2,
all
though.
of his little products trademarked. He's got his logo trademarked. His workout plan trademarked. Russ has Let Russ Cook. He has Let's Ride.
Doesn't he have many varieties of Let's Ride?
Probably.
Yeah.
Not Let's RID3 though.
There we go, baby.
Yeah. This whole thing, the Seahawks people are saying Russ wants to do too much. He wants to be the centerpiece. He wants all this stuff. Meanwhile, we can look at what they did and say, like, yeah, you're running an ancient offense. Of course, the star quarterback doesn't want to just pound the rock and run the ball more than 28 other teams in the league. And so that is the conflict here, it seems like. And it definitely feels like Russell Wilson's on the right side. If anything, you want to let Russ cook. Like, that seems like such an easy answer that they just missed.
Yeah, and I think this is such an easy thing for Nathaniel Hackett and George Payton and the Denver Broncos to just be like, it's not that hard to just keep your quarterback happy. And, like, they can solicit advice from the people who were around during Peyton Manning, John Elway, Gary Kubiak, like whoever. Like, Peyton Manning's no, easygoing guy.
Nope.
He's super particular too. So, and the fact that he's been in the building working with Russ, like, I think the Broncos get this. John Elway, also not an easygoing guy. Like, these quarterbacks are built different for a reason, and they have to be treated different for a reason. And it shouldn't be that hard to build around them and try to make them as good as you can, because that's what makes you as good as you can be.
The one thing that scares me a little bit about that, though, is that Peyton Manning's just on another level. Like, Peyton Manning is Peyton Manning. Russell Wilson, really good quarterback. Going to be a Hall of Famer, but he's not Peyton Manning. At least he hasn't been at this point, and there's time to write the second half of the career, whatever. And the thing about Peyton is, if you have a good run look and Peyton wants to throw the football, Peyton Manning throwing the football is just as good as any run look that you could have out there.
But
Russell
Peyton,
Wilson, though, I'm not sure that that's true. And so if you have opportunities to run the football and he wants to pass it up to throw the ball, I could see how that could get you into trouble at points.
Yeah, Peyton was really good at accepting when run was the right move.
Oh, yeah.
And you could just see him get so frustrated when it was like a run for 1 yard, because like he sees like a 3-man front or something, and he's like, cool, as long as we block this should be 5 yards. And then I could just see in the back of his mind being like, next time this happens, I'm just going to throw it because I don't trust you guys. But he actually was really, like, I think he fully understood that there has to be some semblance of balance to fully succeed as a quarterback.
In that situation you described, Ryan, it sounded like some poor offensive line play, not being able to block 3 guys. And that's the next thing that I took from this, is you're going to have to figure out how to invest in the offensive line correctly to protect Russell Wilson. And the Seattle Seahawks did invest in their offensive line. I believe every year Russ was on his rookie contract, they had a top 8 investment across the league in their offensive line. And then once they paid him, they realized, okay, we can't just be handing out money, and guys that are in free agency are going to be too expensive for us to get. We're going to have to overpay, and with Russ's contract, we're not going to be able to do that. So to me, the answer is, and it's much easier said than done, you got to draft offensive linemen, and you got to hit on offensive linemen in order for this to work, because I'm sure Russ also doesn't want to have no one on defense. I'm sure he doesn't want to not have receivers. And the way the Broncos are building this thing is it is going to be a fairly balanced attack that they have.
What's funny is I could see Russ like not caring nearly as much about the defense. Like I could see him just being the type of guy who's like, as long as our offense is good enough, we're going to win a lot of games.
But I thought you said winning was more important than MVPs for him.
It is for sure. But I'm just saying, like, mentally, I can't see him being like so upset. Like, we just don't have enough guys on defense. Like, I could see him like it's way easier for him to be like, why can't I get weapons or why can't I, get protected over here, than it is like for the quarterback to be mad about the defense
And just confidence in yourself of saying,
Right.
I can do this on my shoulders.
That's why, like, you talk about the Bills on Thursday night. It's just like I feel like Josh Allen can just name a number and be like, I'm going to go score that many points.
Yeah. The other piece with the offensive line, ever since Russ got to Denver, one of those rumors that's floated around is like, the locker room in Seattle, they didn't really like Russ. They kind of deteriorated. It was awkward to be around because they didn't get along. And this felt like, at least to me, the first time there was like, oh, here's maybe why, is because he called out that offensive line and Dwayne Brown took it that way. And you could see how that sort of thing could kind of flood. Then you have that beef. Then the offensive line has to pick sides. And then everything kind of breaks out. And I still don't know where the Russell Wilson versus the defense beef came from. But this one does seem like that was the source.
Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of the last point that I had. Hank, it ties perfectly into that, was keep things in-house. And so far, George Paton's going to keep everything in-house. Nathaniel Hackett, his coaching staff, is going to keep everything in-house. And then Russell Wilson, though, he also went out multiple times and kind of blasted or put his controversial opinion out there. For things for you to make it through rough patches, maybe this is more than just a Seattle Seahawks Russell Wilson reference, more than a sports reference. It's probably not good to go out in public and air your dirty laundry. And I just think that's something that we saw happen just time and time again from both sides in this article. And it's like, well, yeah, when you say that, it's going to make Russell Wilson really pissed. Why did you do that? That is so stupid. But I think the good news is, from everything we've seen with this organization right now, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, for Russ, it makes more sense than for the front office or the coaching staff to say anything. Because if you're Russ, you can use the public to help you get what you want. And maybe it shouldn't be your first thing that you go to. But it's a lot easier for a player to get the public on their side than it is for like a coach or a GM to get the public against the player. You know what I mean? So if you're Russ, and like this is just an example, but let's just say like Russ really didn't want the Broncos to move their stadium out of downtown Denver. If he goes in the media and he's just like, God, there's just something so electric about having the stadium in downtown. I really hope we don't move it. And then he like builds that campaign, right? And the fans are like, Russ is right. I don't want to move the stadium. Then when like the front office is like, well, we're thinking, or when the the ownership is like, well, we're thinking of moving the stadium. Then there's like more of an uproar, more pushback against it. The other way around doesn't work very well though, because the fans are almost always going to take the player side over just like some guy.
Definitely, but I still agree with Zach. You just don't play that game. Like that's just where the rifts come from. Like, as soon as that relationship with George Paton's gone and it's uncomfortable being around each other, it just doesn't work. And like he said, he went on the radio or whatever, said he's been sacked 400 times. It's the most ever in the first 9 years of somebody's career. It's like, yeah, that's totally true. And that shouldn't be the case. But also, of course, that pissed off your offensive lineman that you're complaining about your pass protection. Like, you're not wrong, but also don't be petty to the media.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm saying it's worse when it comes from the other side.
Totally.
Yeah, and like you said, the guys are the public's going to take the player's side more times than not.
Speaking of using the media,
old
friend Emmanuel Sanders is back today, and announced his retirement. So congrats to Emmanuel.
Should he be a Ring of Famer?
I need to put more research in before I answer that question.
Okay, you want some stats?
Can you compare his stats to Ed McCaffrey for me?
I can a little bit. Let me first tell you. Maybe Hank can pull up Ed's stats. He played with the Broncos for 5.5 seasons.
Okay.
In those 5.5 seasons, he had 3 1,000-yard receiving seasons.
Yep.
He had in those seasons he had 101 catches in a season, 76, 79, 71. Career totals of 404 catches. I should say Broncos career totals. 404 catches for 5,361 yards and 28 touchdowns.
Okay, Hank, do you have Ed McCaffrey up?
Yes. So he had 3 1,000-yard seasons also.
How many years with the team?
And that's why I was going to give it to him. 95 to 2003, so 9 years.
Okay.
And the longevity to spoil my answer is...
Yeah, so 3,000-yard seasons.
Yep. Another
going.
one at like 900. Had 101 catches 1 year.
Okay, Emmanuel had 2 850-yard seasons.
Okay. So you go from 903 to, 590 was the next best.
Okay. What's the total?
6,200 in Denver.
62. And how many catches?
462.
462. So Emmanuel is by far, I guess, year by year
Efficient, yeah.
more efficient, yes. But then you also do take into account era, and you do take into account
Longevity.
Yep.
longevity.
2 Super Bowls for Ed.
Yep, one for Emmanuel.
And you know what's funny is I don't think you know where I'm going with this. I don't think Ed McCaffrey should be in.
Oh, wow.
No.
So I definitely don't think Emmanuel should be in.
He's an
Now,
icon.
if I had to choose one, I would choose Ed. But I think that sometimes we let feelings about players get in the way of like how good they actually were. And the main reason why I'm hesitant on Ed McCaffrey is for a very practical reason. There's just not that much room for more players. So like you're gonna have to get. Did they get Peyton up already?
Yes.
Okay.
Last year.
So you're gonna have to get Vaughn up there. Who else from that? Chris Harris Jr. is going up there.
But you're eventually going to have to figure out a way just to get more names.
Yes.
So I wouldn't worry about the practicality purposes. And I'm not even saying that Emmanuel should be in, but in the 5 years where he was on the team before being traded in that 6th year, he averaged 999 yards per season.
DT's got to go up there. Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not saying a strong case for that.
Yep.
He was really good. And the fact
it's like the classic like Hall of Very Good thing that people do, and I'm just saying like if there was a Ring of Very Good, then he should go in there. Now you could make the case it's the Ring of Fame,
Exactly.
and
yes.
say like well fame. So feelings matter with fame, right?
Oh yeah.
So if it's just all of our favorite players, then like cool. Let's get the Andy Janovich plaque ready to go.
I don't think he's quite on Ed McCaffrey level.
That's just where I'm at, you know. Like we're just putting our favorite guys up there. To me, if it's just like that should be reserved for the greats.
Yeah, but like he's a great Bronco too. You know, it's like it's not just the receiving; it's the blocking. Like the big block, obviously in the Super Bowl.
Like, are
but
number
that sort of
2 wide
gritty stuff.
receivers Ring of Famers?
I
don't think they are.
Yeah, I wouldn't put Emmanuel Sanders in. He just didn't quite do enough for long enough. Like if he had done just a little bit more or been here just a little bit longer, I'd be all for it. Ed McCaffrey though was just like one of the icons of that era. Like he is a person who should be remembered by Broncos fans like 100 years from now. Whereas I can't say that about Emmanuel Sanders.
Okay. I could probably be convinced on Ed. I don't think I can be on Emmanuel.
Yeah, that's fair. But Emmanuel spoke to the media today, and his
Was he asked about this?
He was not. He was not
it.
asked about this. I did ask him my last question to him. So he's going to go into TV. He didn't tell us where he's signing. And so I said, since you're going to be a TV analyst, tell us about to give us your first take on the 2022 Broncos. And you know what his analysis was?
Super Bowl champs.
He gave 3 different tries at Let's Ride.
Let's ride.
Okay.
Let's ride.
Wow.
Let's ride.
But we did talk to him. We got a couple of clips. This first one is Emmanuel talking about his very first game as a Bronco and just how he knew it was the right place to be.
Truthfully, when I touched down in this city, it was electrifying. It was electrifying, the energy that was here. I remember my first game, my first preseason game, I think I had 2 touchdowns for over 100 yards. I had 2 touchdowns for over 100 yards, and that was just in the first half. And I remember going in the locker room, and I went straight to the bathroom. People was like, what the heck is wrong with this dude? And I remember sitting there crying in a stall, thanking God, because I knew that this was a place that he sent me here, and I knew that I was going to do something special. And I've never told that story, but that's the God honest truth, because I knew that this was where I was supposed to be. And I knew that the city of Denver was where I was supposed to be, and the people embraced me. And I loved them, and I know that they love me, and the love is mutual. Truthfully, when I touched down in the city.
And Ryan, I do think one thing we didn't necessarily acknowledge in the the Ring of Fame conversation, people love them some Emmanuel Sanders.
Yes,
so I don't know
do.
how much of
He
like a
sure-
public opinion the
Wow.
Ring of Fame takes in, but I got to give credit to Emmanuel. Throughout his career here, he was incredible and when the lights were on.
Like I said, using the media. He knew how to use the media for his own benefit, and he did a great job of it.
Exactly.
And I'm not even saying that as a bad
No,
thing. It's
yeah.
just, like, it's what I try to tell. Once in a while, I'll get to have a conversation on a level with a player outside of, the confines of Dove Valley, and we'll get to talking about media, and I'll just say, like, it's so easy. It should be so easy for you guys.
Yeah.
All you have to do is be cool, chill, funny, quirky, excited, high energy for like 5 minutes a week
Yep.
to the media, and everyone will love you.
Yep. That's all you have to do.
true.
And
You're gonna
Emmanuel was a master of it.
You're going to get so many benefit of the doubts.
Yes.
People are going to forget certain things. One of the things when I was driving to Dove Valley, I thought, remember that conference call with John Elway right after they traded Emmanuel Sanders? And John totally threw him under the bus.
Yep.
And it's like, that's not going to be brought up today. Nothing's going to be brought up today like that, because it's going to be all about the positives, because that's who Emmanuel was. And that's the image that he was able to give off time after time.
I went back and looked at that game, by the way. 5 catches for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half.
Holy.
What did he
Who
end
was
with?
it against?
That was Houston. It was the preseason game. So they only played
Oh.
that first half.
Oh, wow. That was a preseason
Yeah,
game.
they-
Oh, my goodness.
Starters only played the third preseason game.
I too have cried in the bathroom during a preseason game.
But imagine you just caught this is your first game with Peyton Manning, and that's how it goes.
Yeah.
You're just like, holy shit, I'm about to be a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Like it would be insane.
Especially when he was about to sign with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
And he was in the Chiefs
Yeah.
building.
I've been with Alex Smith.
Exactly. Would have been with Alex Smith. Would not have been nearly as good. So he was in the Chiefs building, and he said about 20 minutes before signing the papers, he got the call from the Broncos. And here's a little story from it.
I remember Andy Reid had left, and I don't want to keep talking about this story, but Andy Reid had left, and I'm sitting there, and we were trying to work out the logistics, because I wanted to sign a 3-year. They wanted me to sign a 4, and I told them, no, I'm only signing a 3. So Andy Reid leaves. He thinks I'm signing with the Chiefs. All of a sudden, I'm telling him, I get the call in the facility that, I can go to Denver. I tell him I'm going to Denver. So I'm there in their facility. And I remember telling him, like, I kind of want to just go back to my hotel and figure out the situation. Like, I don't know what I want to do. I might sign. I don't know. But I was just trying to get out of there so I can go really celebrate, because I'm about to go play with Peyton freaking Manning, the sheriff. You know what I mean? So they wouldn't let me out of the facility. So I remember trying to leave, and I remember Andy Reid, I see his car just flying down, all right? It was flying down. He hopped out like, what is going on? And, I don't care to go into too many crazy details, but that's just how close it was, because I was literally sitting in that room like, I'm about to sign. I remember calling all my family. I told them I'm about to sign with the Chiefs, and it didn't happen. I ended up coming here, which is the best thing ever.
All right, I take back what I said. Put him in the damn Ring of Fame.
I love it.
That image of Andy Reid like running after him, trying to
Had to
stop
be
him.
driving, had to be driving.
He was driving, but metaphorically running after him, trying to stop him from leaving, and Emmanuel being like, "No way, dude! I'm going to play with Peyton Manning. Like, what are you talking about?"
I so hope this story makes it to Chiefs Kingdom, country,
Yeah.
whatever,
Chiefs
Chiefs
fans.
land. Yeah, to Chiefs fans today, because, that is so glorious.
Yep. And then, of course, the Chiefs were actually really good during that time, and it just didn't matter.
Nope.
Broncos won the division every single year, beat them several times in a row, leading up to there was no break in between. There's never been a back and forth in the last decade.
Nope.
This is 5 straight years for the Broncos, 5 straight years for the Chiefs. Or I guess it's 6 now.
Yep.
Crazy.
Was the last time the Broncos beat the Chiefs the Bradley Roby
Yes.
touchdown?
It's the first game of 2015.
That was the first game
so
of
that's
2015.
that season is split. Everything on either side of it is a streak.
Man, how glorious that game was and how it ended and how awful.
That's an Emmanuel Sanders touchdown, by the way. Right after that. Right after the fumble.
Oh,
Or right before the fumble.
Right before,
Yeah.
yes,
Right
yes,
before
yes,
the
yes,
fumble,
yes. Yeah, you're right. And then how awful that first game of the Chiefs winning was. That's when Peyton threw.
It broke the record.
Yes, oh my gosh, and got
He got the passing yards record while having the worst game of his career. That was the most awkward thing I've ever seen.
And they
He's
stopped
like
the game. Yep.
so pissed. He was just throwing up 500 balls.
Yep.
Never seen anything like it. I remember being at my buddy's house and just being like, Brock has to play. You have to bench Peyton Manning right now.
And they did. And it didn't help that game.
The
No.
Broncos were so close to not getting Emmanuel Sanders. It's crazy to think about that.
Yeah.
Because that was the year. So they'd already gotten DeMarcus Ware. They'd already gotten Aqib Talib. They'd already gotten TJ Ward. They're like, okay, now that that's all figured out, we can finally figure out receiver. Meanwhile, Emmanuel Sanders had visited the Jaguars. He'd visited the Buccaneers. He was on his 3rd visit going to the Chiefs and about to sign the deal. And they had just gotten all that stuff done with and were able to move on just at the last moment of him going through this whole process. Everything could have been so different.
That is insane. It's also crazy how he could have played with Peyton Manning and done what he did with Peyton and won a Super Bowl, or he could have stayed there for a little bit and ended up playing with Patrick Mahomes and winning a Super Bowl.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very, very true, very possible. Or maybe Emmanuel makes Alex Smith look good enough that they don't have to draft
There we
Patrick
go.
Mahomes.
So it's Emmanuel's fault.
Yeah, and Peyton would have, gotten whatever receiver to look like
It's
Emmanuel
very
Sanders.
true. Yeah. We would have had a different pairing of what was it? Country. Why can't I think of it?
Oh, Country
Diva.
Diva.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. That was fun.
Cool.
Congrats to Emmanuel. I kind of feel like he should have been at the facility for a different reason today, to sign up for a 1-year deal. But good for him.
That is another notable piece. He did say that, first of all, that he's gotten calls, he could probably keep playing, but he did bring up Demaryius a lot today. And one of the times was saying, with everything that happened to Demaryius, it made me think, I have the quote right here. What am I risking? What is it worth? I've got 2 kids. I've got a beautiful wife. I have something that's bigger than football. I want to see my grandkids. The game of football is tough on the body. I lost a close friend. We all know Demaryius Thomas. And for me, it's about longevity of life now.
Yep.
Stuff like that. And seeing Demaryius have that seizure, which is potentially linked to football, but nobody can prove it one way or the other, but he did have the CTE. It's like that would weigh on your mind when you're 35.
Yeah.
Definitely, and that's why more than anything, I'm happy for him. Honestly, anytime these guys, whenever they decide to hang it up, I'm happy for them. Was able to secure the bag, and hopefully he has a great rest of his life and enjoys it with the people that he mentioned. All right.
If you want to secure the bag,
Yes.
check out our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. I know Henry mentioned them earlier, but got to give another shout out to them now. Bet $5 on any NFL game this weekend, and you'll win $200 in free bets instantly. And then whatever else you win on top of the bet that you place, $200 in your account, paid out in 8 $25 free bets, which makes it so fun. Then you can just have action all throughout the game, and then you get to keep all of the winnings. It is a blast, and DraftKings is just handing out awesome props and really cool boosts left and right. I can almost guarantee they're going to have some stuff this weekend like they already have for the Thursday night opener tomorrow, which I am so pumped for. So head to the App Store now, download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and use promo code DNVR when you sign up to get $200 in free bets by placing a $5 bet over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 and see show notes for full details.
And once you secure the bag, you're going to want to keep the bag. So when you go to buy tickets, you want to go to Gametime because they have the best deals on tickets. And the best thing about Gametime is, at least for me, is organization and procrastination. Are those two tied as well?
I would say they're tied. Yes,
Okay.
correlation.
Yep.
Maybe
so
not
like
causation.
time management, would that be another thing that I suck at? Yeah.
Hey, I'm not saying that.
I am. I suck at time management and I procrastinate everything. And this is one of the few places where that's actually a good thing at Game Time, because the longer you wait, the cheaper the tickets get. You can save up to 60% on tickets by waiting, which is a great deal. So check out our friends over at Game Time by using the link in the description here on YouTube. It's a great place to get your tickets, and we really appreciate it if you go through that link to buy some.
This is kind of relevant, but this is the most expensive Seahawks ticket since 2017.
Wow.
And the most expensive ticket this weekend.
Yep.
That is crazy. It's not this weekend, but
Yeah, I guess Monday. And the crazy thing about, I hope a lot of people are making the flight out there to make it a long weekend.
the Broncos fans,
Yeah.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
I'm sure they are. I've had a lot reaching out to me, being like, "Hey, like, what are you guys doing?" I'm like, "Oh, we're launching the bar."
Man, it would be a cool game to be at, though.
Yep.
Yep.
It really would be. And the reason it's so expensive is because this is Seattle's Super Bowl. It's sad, but this is their Super Bowl. This is their biggest game this season. For the Broncos, it's cool because it's the debut of Russ. It's cool because it's the first game of the season.
It's the beginning.
Yeah, but Broncos fans are really looking forward to Week 14 against the Chiefs at home, Week 17, Week 18, and the playoffs. Seahawks aren't doing that.
I'm actually more anxious about this game than anything else.
Like too much to lose, not enough to
It
gain.
feels like a CU-CSU game for me. And it's like everyone expects us to win. We should win and all this stuff. But if you lose, you're getting clowned hard from everyone, from every which way. So like that's probably going to keep me up on Sunday night.
I don't like that you said that, but I think you're right.
Yeah.
Next week could be really miserable. Let's never mind. The
How
rugby.
about 2 weeks from now if they lose to the Texans too?
No, that's not happening.
Wow. Oh
I'm
God.
touching blood.
I mean, if that happens, there's no way they're beating the 49ers.
I don't know if they'll win a game this year.
Seriously.
All right, tank for Bryce Young.
Yes, the American Raptors are awesome, and you should be paying attention to what they're doing. You can do that by listening to the weekly DMVR Rugby podcast. You can read all the stuff on the website as well at thedmvr.com. You can also just go out there and watch for yourself, because out at Infinity Park in Glendale, you can get free tickets. The way it works is you just go to AmericanRaptors.com, grab your free ticket for the upcoming season, and if you can't make it to the game, still want to watch, they stream all of them on their website. Again, that's AmericanRaptors.com. Make sure that you're tuning in. Make sure you're keeping up with our guy, Colton Strickler.
And really quick, I just want to give a shout out to everyone tuning in on YouTube live with us, leaving comments. We got Jared, we got Cody, we got Jose. We even got a super chat coming in from Nick.
Let's
go.
go. What does old Nick have to say? He said, "What are your expectations of KJ coming off a major injury this year? Have you seen the same speed from him in camp, or has there been a drop-off?" We didn't see much from him in camp, but I thought he looked really fast in the few snaps that he took in the preseason.
He looked like himself, I thought.
Yep.
He really looked like himself. And I don't know. I guess sometimes, more so with running backs, I guess, you see like the drop-off, which is like, oh, you're bad now. But more often than not in football, it's just injuries that build up.
Yeah.
And that's where you see problems. Even with Peyton, he has the foot thing going on, and that was a factor in all that. With KJ, he seems like himself, but all it takes is one little tweak, and we'll touch wood when we say things like that, and all of a sudden, the 35-year-old is playing like a 35-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And
Wait, are we talking about Kareem Jackson or KJ
Oh,
Hamler?
I was thinking of Kareem Jackson. I was like, I don't know what RK's saying about the preseason game. We're just gonna gloss over that.
Actually, shout out to Kareem Jackson
major
and
injury.
preseason. He actually said he wanted to play in the preseason, which I thought was interesting. Every
That's
other
a guy
vet has
who-
been like, no, don't want to. Thrilled that I don't have to.
That's a guy who just wants to hit
That's
people.
exactly why he wanted to
Yeah.
play. Yeah.
I've said it for many years now. I think he's like the linchpin of the defense. The way that he's a dog. He's just a dog.
Yep.
And I don't even have to say anything else.
Yep.
There aren't many physical players anymore. I mean, that's not true. There aren't nearly as many as there were like 5-10 years ago. 5 years ago, even.
Back in your day.
Back in my day, yeah. Now all you got is Kareem Jackson, the last piece of that era.
Yeah.
But speaking of being hit hard in the preseason, KJ Hamler, when he got hit hard coming across the middle. That was good to see him get up right away.
Yeah, I mean, it was on his head, which wasn't good, but
Yeah.
So both guys. I guess it would definitely be KJ since he's coming off a major injury.
Yes.
KJ Hamler, that is.
And Nick, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate that. Shall we hop into the website?
Let's do it.
Comments coming in. First one from Big Hank Stan says, "What does Chubb get named a captain say to you? What has changed? Hanky Stanky."
I honestly think nothing has really changed. Bradley Chubb is a good leader. Like, he's a great locker room presence. Everyone likes him. If it's players vote, like, it doesn't surprise me at all that they voted for him.
No, and he's a guy that's battled adversity from multiple injuries to and being a top 5 pick to having those expectations. So he's gone through a lot, and I think players really recognize that.
And just like a physical freak. Like maybe doesn't stand out just when you look at him as much as Randy Gregory, but in terms of just like size, strength, the way he moves, like I think it's easy to be like, oh, who are our leaders? Look at that guy.
Also, I think this is a reason they moved on from Von Miller. Bradley Chubb's not getting named a captain if Von Miller is here this year.
Wow, good point.
It's going to be Von, right?
Yep. We got another super chat from Nick, who says, I can't actually see it.
This is funny.
He says, "I'm a little confused from yesterday's episode. Are you guys coming out here to Vegas for the Raiders game?"
Because yesterday he said that he was going to be in Denver for the Raiders game that's in Vegas. And so we were confused at him, and now he's
doesn't
confused
help.
from us being confused.
Are we coming to Vegas for the Raiders game? I think so.
Wait. I thought it was a yes.
I think so.
Oh, no.
It's like a couple weeks away.
It is
Somebody
really
needs
crazy.
to plan that, yes.
Is that
Yeah.
September? No, I think it's October 2nd.
Okay, we got a whole month.
How's your passport coming?
Oh, boy.
It's on the way.
There we
Well,
go.
I don't know. I gotta use the link to go check the
He
status.
said it's on the way. It could be on the way there.
It's
Could be
somewhere.
right. Yeah.
Okay, we can. I mean, I've planned a trip to Vegas in like 3 days.
That's all you need.
Luckily, we've got a meeting here in like 15 minutes.
Good point.
10
That's a
minutes.
good point. We might be coming to Vegas.
Big Hank Stan chimes in again and says, "Also, what's your favorite Emmanuel Sanders play? And is he a Ring of Famer in your eyes? Love, Hanky Panky."
Favorite Emmanuel Sanders play. For some reason, I'm remembering him throwing a touchdown to Cortland Sutton against the Cardinals.
Man, was that a beatdown.
Yeah, it was 45-10.
That was Von Miller.
Yep, we gonna beat their ass.
Yeah.
Which
love
is
that
epic
guy.
quote.
Yep.
I wish he just would have used it against like the Chiefs.
Right. Didn't he also catch a touchdown in that game? I think
Emmanuel, yeah, he did. He got a
caught
long one. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, throwing one's pretty good. I'll say just the moment that sticks out in my mind, which he talked about a lot today and said was his favorite moment as a Bronco, is him and DT after the Broncos won the 2015 AFC Championship game, just doing little snow angels in the confetti. They just look like two kids really having fun.
For sure. There's a lot of good memories from Emmanuel.
That Chiefs one, since you brought it up, that Chiefs touchdown right before the fumble,
Yep.
that's a good one.
Yep, for sure. There's a classic one of just like Peyton seeing exactly like what the defense was going to do and just waiting for it. Just being like, I just need half a beat for Emmanuel to make this cut and he's going to be open and I'll throw it.
Yeah.
All right, next one's from Bigwood54. Did you guys see Von Miller's hype video for the Bills? It breaks my heart to see him gone, but I'm still looking forward to watching our new team dominate. Back to my question from yesterday: Is it best to wear the Orange Crush jerseys for Week 11 to match the team that week? Thank you and go Broncos. Yes, it is. If they're wearing orange, you should wear orange. Did you see the Von Miller Bills hype video?
I did not. Did you?
Nope.
No, I didn't either.
I don't watch anyone else's hype videos.
I heard it. I actually saw, I think it was our friend Brandon Perna said like something like, I actually don't remember what he said about it. It was one of two things. It was either like, man, this sucks watching from like a Broncos perspective, or like, I can't believe this is a commercial because it's done so well.
Yeah, I think it was something like about how good it was.
Yeah.
I refuse to watch anyone else's hype videos.
It's a 3-minute video. I just watched the first 5 seconds with no sound. It looks like a pretty sick video. Like it's like,
is it just Vaughn or is it the Bills?
It's just Vaughn.
So it's his personal production.
No, the Bills put it out.
Oh. It's a Von Miller hype video via the Bills?
It's called Von Miller's Letter to Bills Mafia.
Oh,
wow.
It's just watching the first 5 seconds. It looks like it's pretty sick, and it makes me think the Broncos are The Bronco. He should be a Bronco still.
Remember
He
how
should
we
be a
always
Bronco.
say he's going to embrace the hell out of whatever fan base and city he's in? It took a while with the Bills. It did. In his opening press conference, he was mentioning the Rams, and he was even mentioning the Broncos and things he's going to miss. And that first month, he was still posting a lot of things with Broncos stuff. And now he's buying in.
Was it Vaughn who told the media he was like shocked the other day? He like left his garage door open, and one of his neighbors called and was like, "Hey, Vaughn, you left your garage door open."
Yeah.
He was like, "Wow, everyone's so friendly here."
Wow.
Next one's from Bronc Oilers, who says, "Hey dudes, following up on my comment from yesterday. Correct me if I'm wrong, but even during that one good Blake Bortles year, I don't remember hearing much about Hackett being a factor in the way you heard about McVay, Goff, or Shanny Garoppolo. He certainly wasn't receiving any accolades in Buffalo, albeit he was trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit over there. It also probably worth mentioning that he wasn't running the Shanahan outside zone offense at that time either. It seems like he didn't really appear on the top offensive mind / head coaching radar until his time in Green Bay, where he wasn't actually calling the plays. To be clear, I'm not intending to be negative or saying that Hackett is a bad play caller. In fact, it's encouraging to hear that he and Russ are really bonding over the schematics. I just think he still has a lot to prove when it comes to calling plays on Sundays, and it seems that his prowess as a leader and a teacher are being conflated a little bit with his ability to draw up and call good plays at a high level.
The play calling is fair. We haven't seen the play calling, but in terms of drawing up the plays, I mean, we can't say what the plays are, but we've all seen them in practice. We know that this is not what we've seen in the past.
You even saw him in the third preseason game, scheming guys wide open.
Yeah, I think it is fair to say that he's an inexperienced coach and has to prove it from a game management perspective. I think he's going to be much better than Vic Fangio. But if someone says he has to prove it, okay, sure, I get that. From a play calling standpoint, sure, he has to prove it in a game and just show that the moment's not too big for him. But someone asked him yesterday if he was nervous because this was his first game. And he said, no. This is not my first game. And they said, well, as a head coach. And he said, yeah, all you have to do as a head coach is you just talk to a few more people throughout the week and you have a few more responsibilities. And honestly, the way Hackett completely dismissed the question shows me that that's exactly how he feels. He's not worried about it. And just like every new head coach, though, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, they had to prove these things.
I'm trying to imagine like how that would translate to another job. Not that those are ever like useful metaphors, but I'm just trying to think like I guess it would be like if Henry had to host Broncos today. So instead of just being on the panel, he was hosting, and I just feel like he would be like, yeah, I got this. I know how to do this.
Right.
Exactly.
He agrees.
And
he agrees with you.
And I believe Nathaniel Hackett when he's just like, yep, it's just going to be another game. I'm calling the plays. Like that's what I do. You know,
And he's done it before.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited.
Less than a week, baby. Almost 24 hours away from opening night.
Yeah, it feels like we're only one day away because I feel like once you get into the football continuum, it just sends you straight through to the end of the season.
Shoot me through,
Thursday
baby.
to Monday is a long wait. I remember when they started against the Titans.
But you're not going to be doing anything during that time where you're like thinking like, God, I can't wait till Monday. You're just going to be like watching football at the DNVR grand opening.
I vividly
I'm going down to
remember.
Air Force on Saturday. Sunday, you'll just be soaking up red zone. Like there's no – essentially once you make it to tomorrow night when football starts, you're just good.
Yep.
That Thursday to Monday wait with the Titans, though, that one was brutal. I remember that. Like, it just stands out to me, those 3 days.
It's Monday afternoon that really gets you. That's the number one time where it's like, it's not the weekend anymore. It's Monday.
Yep.
And I just have to make it through to the end of the day.
To me, that's the nerve-wracking point where I know there's nothing I actually need to be doing. In fact, there's nothing I can do. I can't write a story. I can't prep for the pod before. There's nothing I can do work-wise, but I'm like, this just feels wrong.
Feels weird,
It feels wrong. Bring me to 6 p.m.
That's why Henry and I were talking about this yesterday, how like some Broncos media people like get to the press box like 4 to 6 hours before the game. And it's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I think I saw people do that like my first year, and so I did it one day.
Yep.
What the hell am I doing
Yep.
here?
There's
I'm
nothing
not
to do.
There's nothing to do. They're not better than me because they get there and sit there.
Right, take a
4
picture.
hours.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy. If you're there more than 15 minutes before kickoff, it's just, what are you doing?
You just wait.
Yep. Unless you want to eat, get there 30 minutes before.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get a little
And I
meal
guess
in.
you can see who's out there for warm-ups.
I do. I will say when I in my press box days, I like to get there early enough to just like go, schmooze it up with a couple people. Hey, what's going on? Oh, hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get a couple of compliments on your fit.
Yep.
All that good stuff.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, but it is hilarious though. The only time I ever really did that, I ended up getting in trouble because Nikki was just bored, and so she wanted to go like try to get down on the field. I'm like, yeah, I'll go. And then we both got in trouble.
That bad influence, Nikki.
Yep, she really was. All right. Does that wrap it up for us?
That's it. We've
That
hit
does
them
wrap
all.
it up for us. Good. This is great. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. We will be back with you tomorrow, leading up to Thursday Night Football, and we can't wait.
Can't wait, baby.
See you guys then.